Could you briefly introduce yourself and your role in short drama industry?
Hi, my name is Jen. I'm the founder of Vertical Drama Love, which is a combination of fan created content, reviews, articles about the industry, advocating for better things in the industry. I also do media speaking, consulting, basically here to help the industry grow and generate more work for everyone.
Could you tell us more about how you get into this industry?
So I came as a fan. So I discovered vertical dramas in April 24, was watching them, but couldn't find any information about how they were made because that's always my instinct to research. I understood the format a little bit because I come from Chinese and Korean dramas. So I understood the tropes and the storylines, but I was like, how are these being made in America? It's clearly a fast turnaround. At the time, there was very little press. There was the social media accounts, the apps were just giving free episodes. That was it. The fan accounts were pretty much here's some really nice photos of the actors. So I thought, this is crazy. There's obviously a lot of people watching these around the world, and there's not much content for them. So I started writing reviews. So I did this in December. I just set up an account. I'm just going to write some reviews, and I also just asked some questions about how are these made. I'm recognizing this dress in several series. And what happened was, I think because people hadn't been interested in their job before and possibly been quite dismissive, suddenly I had people on sets, particularly in America, but all around the world, Australia, UK, messaging me going, I'm in a vertical drama I'm working on right now. Ask me any questions. I'll tell you whatever you need to know. So I suddenly ended up connected to people in the industry, sharing their information and their experience. And it happened the same with fans as well, because obviously a lot of people watching these, but a lot of them don't know other people in their day-to-day life at the moment. So again, they were like, oh, wow, someone talking about that. I want to come and join and find other people. So I've ended up becoming this conduit, I think, for both the industry and the fans. And I think I found what's interesting is with the industry, obviously, if they're working in LA, they'll know what's going on in LA, but they won't necessarily know what's happening in Vancouver or New York or UK or Ukraine. So I've ended up being able to link a lot of people because I'm watching and talking to people all over the world. And it's just grown from that. So a lot of it was about trying to find ways to legitimize the industry and give it the attention that it deserved. So through my day job business, I it was online business support and I had PR connections. So I was like, this should be a press story because in the UK, the reports about TV and film were very much studios are closing, there's not much work. And I was like, well, vertical dramas are generating work. This is the thing everyone's telling me. So I was able to pitch and get stories in sort of mainstream press here about vertical dramas and start to get that attention on it. I also thought we should celebrate this. So I set up and ran some fan awards. So I got fans to nominate their favourite, actors and dramas from 2024. And then they voted on it and that went global. So we ended up with 16,000 votes around the world. So that happened in March. And it's very much looking at like how do we celebrate this community? So I then did an online event called VertFest, which was a 2-day celebration of vertical dramas at the end of August with my co-organizer Anna. And that was very much like a Comic Con, but online because people are global. So I wanted it to be accessible to everyone global, where there would be panels of actors and actresses either grouped by kind of a genre, so there's a werewolf one, or by region. So, for instance, we had a group from Australia, and that fans could watch that in an interactive online environment. They could also chat with each other, and then they could also do meet and greets. So we did kind of online meet and greets, and they could pay extra and spend some time talking to their favourite stars. And that was really the key to give back. And I think the lovely thing was there was a lot of buy-in from all the actors and actresses because they do realise that this is very much the money and their jobs come from the fact that fans watch these. So I think that's one of the huge appeals of vertical dramas, that there is this synergy between the creatives and the fans and that everyone sort of comes together and wants to elevate the industry.
How did you first have the idea of vertical drama awards? It's you came up with the idea or someone just bring the idea
No,
to you?
it's always me. It's my brain. Everything I've done is my brain. So yeah, I just go, we should do awards. And then I just do it. And then it happens and it always ends up a bit bigger than I anticipated. But it was just really important to me. I think the key thing was, I think, to bring a level of legitimacy to it. I think that was the key because it was very much written off of, oh, they're just these cheesy little things. They're not art. And I'm like, well, I speak to fans around the world. These are very important in people's lives. I have a lot of people saying, I've watched a vertical and this is the first time I've smiled or I've laughed after like a significant life event, like a loss or grief or bad illness. And I was like, these are actually really important. And I do believe that some of them are some of the best creativity out there. I'm a big romantic drama fan. Some of the best ones I've seen that I'd rank alongside TV and Hollywood are vertical dramas. So I think it was trying to bring that legitimacy of like, can we take this seriously? So I think that started with the reviews of just reviewing it as you would a normal movie. But then it came with, well, there should be awards, and then it's also trying to give something for the fans. And I'm also looking now at setting up in the UK. We'll be doing a festival specifically for UK verticals. And again, moving towards more that film festival model, just to try and really show that this format is here to stay. And then there is a huge amount of creativity and art that should be celebrated rather than dismissed.
So the festival is online or on site?
No, this is going to be a film festival, so it will be a basically just for UK ones, and I'm going to be doing that hopefully in February. That's more for celebrating what's in the UK, so like the best director in the UK, and also it will allow people to submit like a standard film festival. So not so much a fan one. This will be a standard film festival. We will bring in some big, well-known, if not household names, at least known in the UK names to be judges, and it's just to try and bring again that legitimacy and get the press in the UK to just kind of realise this is actually a really exciting format and hopefully generate a lot more opportunities for young filmmakers in the UK.
What's your goal for this London-based festival?
Basically, to bring in investment and support for young filmmakers who want to go into verticals. So, my goal around all of it is very much to give the fans a voice and to just generate as much work as I can for everyone. So, I think it's not just film and TV. I think every business industry in the world is often struggling. So it's really rare to find an area that's in growth. So let's try and bring as many people as we can with us and generate work for them.
Yeah, because you see the potential of vertical dramas in the beginning, right? When
Yes.
nobody's talking about this, you see the potential, you see this brings joyness to fans. This brings
Mm.
job to the industry, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I always saw from the beginning. I think it was around August 2024, which was when Real Short Break brought out Breaking the Ice, and that started going viral. And I think then I was suddenly like, okay, there's a lot of people watching this. This isn't going anywhere as a format. And I think from then I was like, there's a lot of potential here. From then I've always believed in it.
The fan awards last year. And
Mhm.
are there any interesting and memorable moments for the words that you can share?
Yes, what's really interesting is voting patterns around the world. So you kind of realize there's like regional favorites. They have certain stars. So, for instance, Nicole Mattox, who's a very popular actress, is popular in the Philippines and Indonesia. So you can kind of see where people's fan bases are. Kind of actors who often have, or actors and actresses who often have dark hair are very popular in kind of Eastern Europe and Southeast Asia. So people like Mariah Moss and Teague Hannah, they have great votes there. So it was really interesting seeing that. Yeah, and I think that the challenge with that was just me doing it on my own. It was very much from my kitchen table. So it broke my laptop because I just remember the spreadsheet. So I had a spreadsheet that was linked to the great voting platform that I'd found. And there were so many votes coming in, my laptop couldn't cope, essentially. So I had to buy a new laptop because it broke with the size of the spreadsheets. But yeah, I think it was just astonishing how excited people got about it. And I was being told that people on set are like, oh my goodness, they're doing awards. No one's done awards. People are doing awards. And I think it was a genuine excitement, I think, of like, someone's doing this. This is really cool. So, I mean, I look back and it was amateur, I would say, because it was just me with an idea. But I think it was a very big kickstart in what's happening now and inspired other people. So obviously there's been other vertical events and now obviously there's going to be more and more awards. So I kind of feel it was that first push into this snowball now of other awards. And what's really important to me is that this one is entirely driven by fans. So obviously I know there's going to be a lot of awards that obviously the industry will decide, and that comes with a certain perspective that the industry has. This one is all about the fans. It's all the fans' input. I don't decide who the nominations are. They decide because they tell me. And I think that's what's really crucial of keeping fans front and centre because obviously they're funding the entire industry.
What kind of feedback have you received from the audience about the content or the actors involved?
They want to give awards to everyone. I think the challenge this year is so last year it was for everything brought out in 2024. The challenge this year is obviously the sheer volume of content that is created is exponential. So I think the hard thing is narrowing it down. So one of the big things we're doing is last year I just had an award for Vertical of the Year, which were 10 verticals, and then people voted. That feels too narrow now. So there's going to be 10 separate categories for different types of verticals, for instance, a fantasy vertical. And then which means that overall there'll be 100 that will go into that, and then the top ones of that will then go into vertical of the year. So that was a big change just because of the sheer amount. I'm also bringing in things as well, like we wanted something to recognise some of the older actors and actresses, and obviously by older I'm saying like over 40, so really not that much older, but just to try and recognise other people in the industry as well. So having like a matriarch of the year and a patriarch of the year, because obviously some of those characters, they might be evil, they might be wonderful in vertical dramas, but there's amazing performances, and it's trying to just increase where we're spreading the light and
Yeah,
recognizing and rewarding people that matter to fans.
giving them more exposure.
Exactly. 100%.
Right now, as an expert in short drama industry, what change or trends have you noticed in the content over the past few years?
I think the content has diverged this year. There's obviously certain apps have doubled down on the kind of clickbait, shock, rage content. So there's definitely been an increase in, violence against women. Just put stuff that's clearly just put into shock and grab the attention for the social media algorithm and the marketing. It is also landing as well. I personally don't like it at all. I find it quite distressing, and unpleasant, but it is landing. So you have to understand this is hitting something for some people. So trying to understand why. But I also think there is a cry to not just rely on reskinning Chinese IP. So I think there's a real push for original content as well. I think the Chinese IP always has a place because I think there's brilliant stories that come over, but people want original content as well. And one of the things I've really noticed is we have waves of fans now. So you have fans like myself who've been watching for nearly 2 years. We've seen a lot of the stories that are redone and redone. So for us, it's like I don't need yet another version of, the husband does this and the wife does this, blah, blah. So we're looking for newer and fresher content. Then you've got people who've come in maybe a year ago and they haven't watched quite as much of that, so they're kind of okay. And then you've got people who are only just come in the last 6 months. So all those storylines are fresh to them. So I might look at something and go, I've seen this lots of times, but that viewer hasn't. So I think that's the challenge now. You've got viewers at very different stages who are ready for different content. I think what's clear is that production is going up. So, lighting's improving, camera shots are improving, which makes sense with the fact that obviously there's a lot more legacy Hollywood people coming in, more people taking time. There have obviously been some great experiments with new genres. I think it's still a bit of a struggle to get the audience there because I think the key audience is here for romance. But Game of Choice is brilliant. It's utterly brilliant. It's kind of Squid Games versus Saw sort of vertical. So I think it proves you can do action and shock and put in those beats. So yeah, it's just really exciting, I think, and seeing where it goes. And I think there's just going to be this real spread of type of content. And rather than just having one or two apps dominating, I think people are going to just break out across different apps as they get their sort of brand identity. And then people will find the apps that suit them. So for instance, my audience tends to be similar to me and appreciate similar stuff. So my audience will always go for Candy Jar. Candy Jar tends to be the app that they like best for the most content. If that makes sense. And I think it's going to be like that. There will be, audiences for different apps.
The beginning part, I didn't get it. So you mean more violence or
Yes, there's definitely been a very big upcrease in violence against women, violence against children, shocking content. There's a lot now of seeing pregnant women being hit and assaulted at forced abortion. Some hideous stuff around characters who are disabled, them being maltreated. Things that for me, my thought is, as well as I don't want to see it and it's unpleasant, I think it delegitimizes the industry. It makes it easier for everyone who wants to say this is rubbish. However, I am aware that I am coming with a Western European sensibility and these things are getting watched. So you have to at least try and sit back and understand why are these things getting watched. We are viewers all around the world with different culture, slightly different values. So yeah, it's kind of, I understand why they're made. I understand that they work for the social media algorithm. The thing that concerns me is that I know that a lot of creatives don't want to make them, so you have got good directors and good actors and actresses turning down work. And I know of a few who've left the industry because they don't want to be associated with that sort of work. So I think this is the challenge. It risks all the people who are trying to make better stuff and tell beautiful stories and put more art and soul into it. I think that's the danger. But those people are there, and I think those people, they will all find their home. Just as I said, it's just going to spread. There will be people who watch that. But there will be people like me, and that I will try and guide them to, who will go, here is the beautiful stuff, here is stuff that has more diversity, here is stuff where there's real quality. I think that's the same for every media form. If you look at any form of TV or books or, whatever, there is that really widespread, isn't there, of sort of quality and what people enjoy. So yeah, it's just going to keep widening, I think.
Short dramas rely on ad buying. So when
Mm,
through this bait, the creative
yeah.
ad into the media,
Mm,
actually it's called shock value. The data will not know the audience like it, just know that the audience keep watching. Maybe because the audience is so angry, they want to see the end of it.
mm,
So because I talk to different creators, like all of them tell me they don't like those kind of content, and I agree on
mm.
that. So yeah, I hope we see some changes in this area. It's also related to my question. The way female leads are portrayed in short drama has any issues or areas for improvement? I think you really mentioned. Is anything you want to share?
I've just done a fan survey, so I have data from over 1,600 fans who filled it in. They are very, very fed up of the drugging. Then it brings into questions consent around sex. So that's actually the thing that the fans told me they were most upset about. People are also fed up with the slaps and the violence. I think it's difficult. I think there is a level of you, some of it has to be there for the drama. I think a lot of it gets excessive. I can't watch anything where there's anything about a pregnancy or like that that's being badly done. That's an instant. I'm out. I immediately exit. I think it's gone both ways. I think some of them show more, and there's a lot more of this humiliation and brutality. But on the flip side, we've also had dramas come out recently which have much stronger female leads. So I think it's I'm the Mafia Girl Boss. There's one that Goodshot have put out, and the twist is that the female lead is the mafia boss, and the love interest, he's the delivery guy, and she's protecting him. She's got all the things. People love that one. That was fantastic. There's another one, I think it's called Cheer Clean Slay or something, where the love interest is really secondary. It's very much about the relationship between a mother and a daughter. And the mother kind of ends up as younger and going into a cheer squad to look after her daughter. But the key thing about that is them building their relationship, and they're both becoming stronger, more understanding people. So it's kind of one area is getting a lot worse, but then there's also more stories coming through which how much more female centric and have empowered leads. So I think it's both. It's sort of diverging in both directions.
Or independent woman. So if you yourself gonna create a short drama, what kind of female character will you create?
I think for me the key is that if a male character has toxic traits, that they're not all explained away and the woman stays with him anyway at the end. I think that for me is one of the biggest issues. That seems to be improving a bit now. I do seem to be a run of what I call the angry husband ones, of his dreadful, but they do seem to have changed the ending that she leaves and goes off and is with someone else better. So I think that for me is the most important thing with a female character, that the end decision is that we are not condoning either a violent or toxic relationship, because there's a lot of teenage girls watching this. There's been a really big one on Real Short, which is one of their biggest ones. But in the drama, she does end up with a better one. But there's so much bullying. And then the lead actress was like, I had fans saying they thought she should have ended up with the other guy. And the other guy was non-stop horrific to her throughout it. Now, he is an attractive actor, but this is the concern. You are giving a message out to teenage girls. You're giving a message out to women about what's right in a relationship. I don't feel that vertical dramas have to have like any sort of moral obligation to improve the world. But my youngest daughter said this to me much earlier in the year, and she's 13, of like vertical dramas don't have to make the world better, but they shouldn't make it worse. And I think that's the key thing. I'm not expecting them, and I don't think anyone wants them to be this big moral crusade. I think that's why people are here and not in Hollywood. But they shouldn't be making it worse. And I think that's the concern, that some of it is actually pushing a bit of a message which is pushing back progress that has been made around how women are treated on screen.
Yeah, I agree. Like there
Yeah.
should be expressing some kind of a good message.
Well,
Women
just
should be independent or should be treated.
I think that's it. Or just feel good as well, because I think this is the key. I want to feel good at the end of it rather than drained by just seeing non-stop trauma for 90 minutes.
Exactly. So, because we say short drama is like feel good drama or satisfying drama. As a woman, do you feel you have certain advantages in this short drama industry? If yes, what are they?
The biggest advantage is I actually watch them, because I now in sort of consulting, I talk to a lot of men who are interested in coming into space, but they don't watch it and they don't understand. So I think that is actually the biggest thing because the audience, at least in the West, is still majority female. So I understand what the audience are looking for and why they're here and what their general life experiences is like, as a woman in her 40s and with kids. I know it varies from nation to nation, but I think that is my biggest advantage. I actually understand the audience and I watch the darn things because I was told that obviously, even a lot of the apps quite high up, they're probably not watching it because all they're looking at is the data. So they're watching it in a form of data spikes, but they're not actually sat and watching the story all the way through. So I think that is my biggest advantage. I am the viewer, I am the demographic.
Let's pause for a second. Imagine you're in a crowded marketplace. Vendors selling cakes, jewelries, all kinds of things. And you are one of the vendors trying to sell a story. What kind of story will you tell? And more importantly, how do you keep people stop listening and actually pay? That's the narrative logic of short drama. I explain this in my book, Short Drama Writing 101. Write what platforms want. It's available on Payhip, Amazon, and Google Playbooks. Now let's back to the video.
What are those audience, the vertical audience want? Can you give me some examples?
They want apps that don't glitch. A lot of feedback about apps, and also apps that get back in touch with you when you get in touch with their contact desk. It's really important to them on the apps as well. They want search. I think this has become more important on the apps because obviously the amount of content has grown so much. It's a lot harder to find things. So it's crucial that there's search. They'd love to be able to search by actors and actress because that is how most people choose what to watch. They will go for actors and actresses that they recognise. It's really important to people that there are all the coin opportunities as well. So that's absolutely vital to people. They are trying to save money where they can. Content-wise, I think fresh stories. I think rather than just the endless reskinning, they don't want AI. People are incredibly vocal that they don't want AI. I have noticed that multiple apps are putting AI content out now. There is absolutely no interest in fans. And I think the misunderstanding the apps have is fans love the actors and actresses and their humanness and their interaction on social media. That's what they're connected with that. They worry about their jobs. So I asked this question in my survey, like about AI. They worried about the jobs. Also, all of us have had their jobs threatened by AI. So I had several people say, I've just been replaced by AI in my work, so I don't want to see other industries that. So there was a very, very strong vocal feeling of they don't want AI. The only bits where it was brought in were I could see there's a value around maybe improving workflows or creating fantasy and that it would allow you to do dragons and scenery like that. But they want human actors. So I think that is absolutely crucial. Going forward. It also means it's really important the app because quite a lot of the apps will slightly AI the posters, which means that you don't recognize the actors and actresses. So I'm now thinking they're an AI show and avoiding them. And then I'm being told by, director and producer, oh no, that's got like real people in. And I'm like, well, I wouldn't have clicked on it because I'm trying not to click on anything that looks AI generated so that apps get the message if I'm not interested. Content wise, I think just, news stories. I think just anything original. I think people are very varied. There's all sorts of replies, all sorts of different genres, but essentially, new news stories. I think there's more interest in either having, doesn't always have to be romance, but having, female story of like girl friends, groups of friends or groups of male friends and sort of doing more of that sort of friendship group story. I think there's interest in that. And the biggest one is just reducing the violence. The violence is far too much. They want the violence down.
I was surprised because right now AI motion comics, it's very popular, like it's a hit in China. So money are pulling into that. And you actually see AI motion comics in the overseas apps already.
So I think that was what people were saying. I think people were like, if I want to watch that, I'll go to anime or comics. So I think it's keeping it separate. But if I'm here for vertical, I think the key thing that just keeps coming out to me in this survey is that people identify with the actors and actresses and that they're humans and that they're available on social media and that they see their lives. And then that's what people want, I think. So there is much more loyalty to an actor or actress that people love than there is to any sort of app. So a lot of people have said, if I have a favourite actor, I will watch as much of their work as I can, whatever app it's on. So I think that because there's so many apps now, that's kind of where the power shift has changed. There's not that sort of brand loyalty really to an app. It's to the actors and actresses. It's like, I will follow them. I mean, Noah Fernley got mentioned repeatedly. It's like, I will watch him wherever. So I think that's the key thing. That's where people are, how people are choosing what to watch.
If for like film actor or with a TV background, they want to get into vertical series, what's your suggestion to them?
You're going to need to take a massive pay cut. Yeah, I think the key thing is if people come in with those sort of wage expectations, it destroys the vertical drama budget. I also think pace is the other big thing that they all say. So you've got to be able to adapt to the pace. I've talked to actress who works a lot in China, and she said she's seen very experienced actors basically crumble because of the speed and that they're not being able to prepare, been able to do lots of rehearsals of each scene. What I'm told is actually the people who are coming over who are often adapting best are anyone who's done soaps, telenovelas, Bollywood, any of that sort of either live or again pretty fast filming. So soaps are very fast. All those actors seem to be able to adapt pretty fast. Some have even said vertical dramas are slower. So I think that move is easier. But yeah, the big names are all coming. They're all looking at it because everyone wants to be part of the one area that's growing. So I think we will see it. It's just how it will work with the fact that the format doesn't work if you change the budget dramatically. You know, part of it is because it's so quick and it is a low investment and it's out quickly. So that's going to be the challenge, how we bridge that. But I'm sure people will find ways, and I know people are working on it right now.
If like a film writer or director from film or TV series background want to write or direct short dramas, what's your suggestion on that?
The writing, well, I would say go to my YouTube channel because I have videos, interviews of various writers. Writing, the key one is emotion. So you're writing to emotion. So you don't do that long setup. You have to start immediately and hook the viewer in. So it's pace, 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 pace. And I think that's where it can be a struggle, realizing you have to put those cliffhanger in that get the audience obviously past the paywall or wanting to see more. So that would be my biggest one for writers of just, yeah, you're writing to emotion, you're taking out all that exposition. You haven't got a long time to slowly build a character. You're revealing who they are instantly. For directors, I think it's less of a transition. I think the main adaptation I've been told by them is just understanding the frame and just getting more creative about how you can use the frame and stacking and shots. So I think that's an easier transition. It's more again the pace. I think the pace is probably the thing of like you haven't got endless times to redo a shot and do it. You've just got to make your decisions fast. I think that's the key thing. You do your prep, make your decisions fast on set, move on. But I know a lot of people who are happy to embrace that, absolutely adore it. I've spoken to actors and actresses who say, you know, my memory is amazing because they've really trained that part of their brain. They're basically, they just learn the script for the next day, the night before. And they've just got ability now to just absorb it, take it in, days over, that script goes, they take in the next day. So yeah, the same with the directors. I think people who've embraced it have really honed their skills and are doing brilliantly.
You mentioned about some guys in consulted that never watch short dramas.
I think this is the men who are coming in, I think, who obviously, oh, I've done stuff on social media and I'll do apps, but yes, they've not watched. I think this is the key thing. Watch some. Just try and watch a few at least and understand what it is. I think there's a certain, it's only a small percentage, but there is a certain of, oh, I understand this. I know what it is. I've done loads of film and TV. And it's like, no, it is different. You have to. So this is more people at, I would say, looking at production or level who are possibly not taking the time to actually look at the content and understand why it works.
Do you think short dramas have created more opportunities to women, female creators?
Yes, 100%. Obviously, there's a lot of job for women on sets. It's hard to get a percentage, but my impression is that there are more female directors, for instance, in this industry than in other film industries. Also the same with writing. My understanding is the percentage is higher. Even just things like that have often become a female specialist job, you know, intimacy coordinators. I think that's one of the best things about vertical dramas. An intimacy coordinator is a key part of any good set. They, not always, but they do tend to be female as well. So just that there's a whole new job there that has arisen. I mean, obviously for me, I mean, this is now my full-time job. So it's generated that for me. And one of my hopes for the coming year is to be in a position where I can then provide work to other female fans. That's the goal. So I think there's only going to be more and more people who are able to basically get a living from this and make work. You've built this amazing, brilliant thing. sharing your knowledge with the world, which is absolutely valuable to so many people in the industry. And I think you're particularly well placed to do it as a woman. So
Short dramas create a lot of job opportunities in China. It's like a whole industry. What's the future of short drama, do you think?
more apps with different ownerships. So there will be American owned apps, there will be UK owned apps, and so on, with a widened variety of content. And I think they will help us reach newer viewers. So I think the viewership is only going to keep growing. I can't see at the moment how it will stop. It's really hard to say because everything moves so fast. I think that's the key thing. You almost can't predict because things, in 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, a storyline or a kind of issue that was a big thing is suddenly very old news. And, there's a new storyline that everyone's doing. So I think, a few weeks ago, we had the storyline that came over from, I think China. It's obviously about a bodyguard who basically goes crazy and goes completely demented at the end. And everyone had a version of that, and then there'll be a load of those, and then we'll move on. So who knows? I think you've probably got a better idea than a lot of us because you have an eye on what's working in China and what storylines will then come over. But mainly, I think the future's bright. I think that's the best thing I can say.
So what's the short drama vertical environment is like in UK?
So we have I think there's about 10 production companies now. So they've been making verticals here since when I started watching them, so since about early 2024. What's really changed, I think, was when I first got the press this year, though we have now had, probably about 8 or 9 mainstream press articles this year. And what that's brought is it has brought the household name things like, BBC, Channel 4, production companies in the UK, who weren't in vertical dramas are all now looking at it. And trying to figure out how it fits in for them and sort of as part of what they do. I think the feeling in the UK is that it will need to have a bit more of a UK voice. I suspect it will lean more into humour because I think that's what the UK viewer wants. The UK viewer is possibly the wider one, a little more savvy and a little more cynical. So I think it needs to lead into the humour side of verticals for them. There are viewers here. There is a sort of key small viewership. The other big thing that's changed is the actors and actresses here, because I think last year it was very much people were very wary of and I think quite reluctant to do. What's happened this year is everyone around the world has realised the UK does have so that's the best acting. It's not just me saying it. I've been told by multiple American directors and producers the acting talent in the UK is phenomenal. I think as production company sort of standards and things have improved, UK actors and actresses are happier to get involved now and are building better career. And, as long as the scripts are better, they don't want to be doing the violent ones. I think that's a really strong feeling here. Another really strong feeling is about pay parity as well. Normally in the UK, there is pay parity between the male and female leads. That does not happen all the time in America. So there's a strong feeling about that. But it is being seen more as something that they are willing to talk about and take part in. And one company's just finished filming, I think, what's the biggest vertical in the UK, which is a medieval setting. But they were filming in castles, they've got horse riding. It's a real step up in sort of vertical production and has, for the UK, sort of some of our bigger names in it. So yeah, I think it's going to explode here in the UK next year, to be honest, as all these vertical production companies already established are getting more popular because everyone realizes it's cheap to film in the UK and we have the great talent, but also all the more legacy things like BBC and Channel 4 and so on all come into the space as well and sort of experiment and find their way of being part of it.
You mean BBC involved in short dramas?
At the moment, I think they're just looking at it, but the key thing is they're looking. I think this is the important thing. It's no longer being dismissed. So I'm speaking at an event called Content London, which is like one of the biggest UK media events. So when I first spoke to them in March, they've always prided themselves on looking outward at like what the important parts of the content economy. So for instance, they were talking about YouTube long before most people were. When I spoke to them in March, they were like, well, we want to do maybe one session on short dramas or vertical dramas. That has now expanded into an entire afternoon and it's in the main venue. It's in the biggest hall every single session because that's the change that's happened between March and then September when they put the schedule out of they've realised that's how much the interest has grown. So I think that's probably the key thing of just showing how much interest there is in the UK and realisation that this is something to get involved with.
Yeah, and just half a year, right? And they realize how potential is for vertical dramas.
Yeah. Yeah,
Great.
it's changed. They're getting there. We're always a little slow in the UK. I think it's fair to say. Obviously, America was there first, but it's getting there. And I know there's a huge amount going on behind the scenes. So I think next year in the UK is exciting. I think there's going to be all sorts of very interesting and talented and wonderful people working in vertical drama.
Before we wrap up, do you have any other things you want to share about your event, about your festival or awards?
Three things. So we know it's very hard to get hold of data of just what actually fans think. So I put a survey out. It's a really comprehensive survey of basically who fans are, how they watch, how they use apps, how they choose what shows to watch, what they like, don't like, general experiences. I've got over 1,600 people have replied to that. So I'm currently putting that in a big report. I am going to make that available for free because it's really important to me that people can access it and use it. So I imagine when this is out, that will be available. So do go and have a look on my website if you want to access that. It's not the world's biggest segment, but it's a start. And in my view, it's better than nothing, which is where a lot of us are working from. I run the Vertical Drama Fan Awards, which will be running from January to March 2026. Awarding things in verticals in 2025. Nominations will open January the 1st. So if you're a fan and you have your favourites, go make your nominations. And then, yes, watch this space. But I will be running a UK Vertical Film Festival, which is designed to give awards and highlight the best of basically the verticals being made in the UK and also new filmmakers who are experimenting with the format. So watch the space for this. But come and say hi. I'm always happy to help wherever I can on my website, on my YouTube, or on my socials.